All right, let's dive into a topic that, honestly, most of us can probably relate to: emotional eating. You know that moment? You're not actually hungry, but you're eating because you're trying to deal with some kind of feeling. Today, we're going to break down exactly what's going on there and, more importantly, explore some really powerful ways to respond. I mean, who hasn't been here, right? Just staring into the fridge, looking for something. Not because your stomach is growling, but because you're maybe stressed or bored or a little sad. It's such a common human thing, and just understanding that is the very first step. So, at its core, that's all emotional eating really is. It's using food as a coping mechanism. It's our brain's attempt to soothe or distract us when we're dealing with tough emotions. And hey, it kind of works for a minute. The problem is, it's a temporary fix that doesn't solve the real issue and, often leaves us feeling even worse afterward. Now, this isn't just a random thing that happens. Emotional eating usually follows this really predictable and, frankly, kind of vicious cycle. And you know what? Once you can see the pattern, you can start to break it. Here's how it usually plays out. First, there's a trigger: a bad day at work, an argument, or maybe you're just bored out of your mind. That feeling sparks this super intense, sudden urge for food. And it's not for like a salad, right? It's for that specific comfort food. That leads to the eating part, which is often pretty mindless, sometimes until you're uncomfortably full. And the last stage? It's not relief. It's usually a big wave of guilt and shame, which, yeah, can easily become the trigger for the whole cycle to start all over again. Okay, so how in the world do you interrupt this thing? Well, the first big skill to learn is just listening to your body. Learning to tell the difference between what your body actually needs and what your emotions are screaming for. This chart is actually so helpful. Look at the differences here. Real physical hunger, it kind of sneaks up on you over time, but emotional hunger, bam, it hits you like a truck and feels super urgent. Physical hunger is flexible: an apple, some nuts, a sandwich, lots of things sound good. Emotional hunger wants that one specific thing, like that pint of ice cream and nothing else. And here's the kicker: physical hunger goes away when you're full. Emotional hunger, it can keep you eating and eating, which leads straight to that guilt we just talked about. So, once you get better at recognizing what's happening in the moment, the next big piece of the puzzle is figuring out why. It's time to become a detective and identify your personal triggers. Let's look at some of the usual suspects. First up, stress. It's a huge one. When you're stressed, your body pumps out this hormone called cortisol. And guess what it does? It makes you crave salty, sweet, fatty foods. Classic. Then there's just stuffing down your feelings, using food to numb out anger or sadness so you don't have to deal with it. Boredom is another biggie: just filling time or an empty feeling inside. And don't forget social stuff. A lot of this is just learned behavior from when we were kids, associating food with parties, rewards, or comfort. Okay, we've got the what, we've got the why. Now let's get to the good stuff: the how. It's time to build a new toolkit full of more effective ways to handle these feelings. A real cornerstone of this new toolkit is something called cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. It's a proven approach that's so effective because it gets right to the heart of the matter: the connection between your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. It's all about spotting and changing those thought patterns that are driving the behavior. And a super simple but really powerful CBT tool is this ABC model. Let's just walk through it. A is the activating event. Say you get a really critical email from your boss. B is your belief about that event, which might be something like, "I'm a total failure, I'm going to get fired." And C is the consequence. You feel completely overwhelmed and you eat a whole bag of chips. CBT teaches you how to pause at step B and challenge that belief, which allows you to choose a totally different C. So what does a different consequence even look like? Well, this slide gives us a fantastic menu of options. The idea is to match the feeling to a new action. So next time you feel stressed, instead of going for the chips, maybe try a 5-minute walk. Feeling lonely? Call a friend. Bored? Put on a podcast or pick up that hobby. The goal here is simple: meet your emotional needs with actual emotional solutions, not with food. Building this toolkit is absolutely crucial, but for real, long-term change to stick, we also have to work on shifting our entire mindset around this whole thing. Now, this quote is a total game changer. It reframes this whole thing. It says that emotional eating isn't a moral failure. It's actually been a pretty smart and effective coping tool. It's been working for you on some level. The goal isn't to violently rip that tool away from you. It's to gently add a bunch of new, healthier tools to your collection. This way of thinking takes away all the shame and just opens you up to being curious instead of critical. And that leads us directly to what might be the most powerful tool of all: self-compassion. This is all about breaking that cycle of self-criticism. Because think about it, beating yourself up after you eat emotionally just creates more bad feelings, which then triggers more eating. Self-compassion is the way out of that loop. It's the antidote. So what is it really? Well, it has three main parts. First is self-kindness. That just means talking to yourself like you would a good friend when you're struggling, instead of with that harsh, critical voice. Second is common humanity, reminding yourself that you're not alone in this. Everyone struggles. Everyone is imperfect. And third is mindfulness, just noticing your difficult emotions without judging them, which actually helps them lose their power over you. And that brings us to this, which is so important to remember. You're gonna have setbacks. Slips will happen. Everyone does. The key is to stop seeing them as failures and start seeing them as data. A slip is just a chance to learn. You can ask, okay, what was going on there? What did I really need in that moment? It becomes an opportunity to practice this new self-compassion and figure out a better strategy for next time. So, I'll just leave you with this question to think about. What is one emotional need that you have? Maybe it's a need for comfort or for distraction or connection that you can meet today without using food. Because that's where progress begins. It starts with that one small, compassionate choice you make for yourself.